Now at 5, we look at the current job market in Southeast Kansas. Plus, the Joplin Police Department offers tips on how to navigate around bridge construction on Rangeline. And
the Twitter whistleblower details his concerns about how the social media giant is handling user data. I'm Natalie Brandt with the takeaways from his testimony before lawmakers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Joplin police say the bridge construction project underway on South Rangeline Road is causing some traffic issues. This is KOAM News at 5. To help, the Joplin Police Department is offering tips on navigating around that construction. They say not to use a parking lot as a detour. Also, don't make U-turns after a lane restriction or drive between cones. Officers are going to be watching that closely. Perhaps the most important tip to remember, take it slow in construction zones to make sure everyone gets home safely. Southeast Kansas has some of the highest unemployment rates in the state. According to the Kansas Works Department, as of July, the unemployment rate in the state was 2.4%. Cherokee County has an unemployment rate of 3.4%. Crawford County, 3.9%. Labette County at 4.1%. Bourbon County sits at 4.2%. Despite the higher unemployment rates, there are a lot of job postings in the region. Cherokee County has 165 postings. Crawford, 316. Bourbon, 200. And Labette, 200. Bourbon County, 56. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly today announced a $9 million grant to improve student behavioral health in Southeast Kansas. The funding will spread out over 5 years and be administered through the Department of Pediatrics at KU School of Medicine to fund CanAware. CanAware will integrate school-based community health workers into its behavioral health support system for students and families in need. Doug Heddy joins us now with a first look at the weather.
Well, it turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us today. A little bit hotter during the afternoon, but plenty of sunshine. Once again, great conditions across the entire 4-state area. Nothing is going on outside for us here. We have clear skies. Really, the entire Central Plains looking pretty good. We do have a weak little wave, which is building out across the Rockies, but besides that, we're pretty quiet. Mid to upper 80s on the Missouri side. Once again, to Oklahoma. Upper 80s and then lower 90s, Chanute, Neodesha, Yates Center, Parsons all sitting at about 90, 91 degrees so far this afternoon. Through the evening, we drop back through the 80s, clear skies, 75 by 8, 70 by 10, overnight low down to about 61 degrees. We're going to look at the rest of the work week here in just a bit.
See you then. The former head of security for Twitter testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee today over claims the company misled regulators about its ability to protect user accounts. Peter Mudge Zatko became a whistleblower after warning of the flaws last month. Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill.
They don't know what data they have, where it lives, or where it came from.
Twitter whistleblower Peter Mudge Zatko detailed his concerns before senators of serious security and privacy vulnerabilities that he says could put the social media giant's hundreds of millions of users at risk.
It's not far-fetched to say that an employee inside the company could take over the accounts of all of the senators in this room.
Zatko worked as Twitter's head of security for 2 years before he was fired this past January. He alleges his concerns went unheard by the company's leadership, prompting him to go public.
I determined it was necessary to take on the personal and professional risk to myself and to my family.
Zatko also testified he warned the company a foreign agent was on the payroll.
Their response was, well, since we already have one, what does it matter if we have more?
Zatko's allegations have prompted outrage across both sides of the aisle, especially since the social media giant was ordered by the FTC to better safeguard personal information as part of a settlement in 2011.
I wouldn't exactly give a passing grade to Twitter when it comes to the security of information. Would you grade as well the government agencies that have some responsibility?
They're left letting companies grade their own homework, and I think that's one of the big challenges.
Republican Senator Chuck Grassley said Twitter's CEO rejected the company's invitation to appear before the committee.
If these allegations are true, I don't see how Mr. Agrawal can maintain his position at Twitter.
Twitter has disputed Zatko's allegations and says it's made security and privacy a company-wide priority. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
During the hearing, Elon Musk tweeted a popcorn emoji appearing to show he was tuned in. Twitter shareholders voted today in favor of his $44 billion takeover deal to buy the company, even though he's seeking to terminate that agreement. The Justice Department has issued dozens of subpoenas to former Trump administration aides and staffers in what appears to be a dramatic escalation of its investigation into the attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. The focus of the subpoenas centers around the attempts to send fake electors in place of the electors won by President Joe Biden. The DOJ is also tracking money raised through Donald Trump's PACs. The dramatic advance of Ukraine's army is causing some public anger in Russia. Ukrainian troops have recaptured an estimated 2,000 square miles of territory in recent days. The country's president says the counterattack will continue, and Russian President Vladimir Putin is now facing some rare criticism at home. The coffin of the late Queen Elizabeth has arrived in London after lying in rest at a cathedral in her beloved Scotland. Queen Elizabeth's body will lie in state for 2 days. Her funeral is scheduled to take place Monday morning. Still ahead, a new federal inflation report.
You may be paying less at the pump, but prices are still high almost everywhere else. I'm Elise Preston with the latest inflation report.
And next in Health Watch, how a couple of Hollywood stars are raising awareness about colonoscopies in men under age 50. Topping today's Health Watch, a concussion can impact performance in the classroom. A new study in the journal Injury Prevention found that adolescents with a concussion in the last 12 months were 25% more likely to be in poor academic standing at school. The study analyzed more than 10,000 American high schoolers, and nearly 15% reported at least one concussion in the last year. Eating your meals during the day instead of at night could help improve mental health. A study from Brigham and Women's Hospital found that nighttime eating increased depression by as much as 26% and anxiety by as much as 16%. Researchers say the data is especially important for shift workers who often work odd hours and may experience a 25 to 40% higher risk of mental health concerns. Actors Ryan McReynolds and Rob McElhenney are making a personal milestone public and asking you to follow their example. They allowed video cameras to record their colonoscopies to raise awareness about the rising rates of colon cancer in people younger than age 50. Bradley Blackburn has more.
Ryan Reynolds is having his first colonoscopy.
It's not every day that you can raise awareness about something that will most definitely save lives.
His appointment was with our doctor, John LaPook. Cameras rolling.
The procedure itself doesn't take long.
25 minutes later,
you did such a good prep that I was able to find an extremely subtle polyp that was on the right side of your colon. This was potentially life-saving for you. I'm not kidding. I'm not being overly dramatic. I mean, this is exactly why you do this, okay? You had no symptoms.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm thrilled for you.
Thank you so much for this. Seriously, thank you for pushing me to do this.
This is the polyp. I just cut it off at the snare, and it's gone. You are interrupting the natural history of a disease, of something, of a process that could have ended up, developing into cancer.
When it was Rob McElhenney's turn.
Today we found 3 polyps. They were small. They were not a big deal, but certainly a good thing that we found them early and removed them.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Both actors are 45 years old, the age now recommended for people at average risk for colorectal cancer to begin screening.
It dropped down because we're seeing colon cancer in younger people for reasons that are not clear.
And Dr. LaPook reminds,
if you have symptoms, if you have a change in your stool, and you have to get specific, if you notice bleeding, if you notice narrowing in the stool, you have abdominal pain, if you've been told of iron deficiency anemia, you're tired because of that, it could be because of invisible blood loss from a polyp or an early cancer that you don't even know about. If you have symptoms, go to your healthcare provider and get it evaluated.
Because it could be life-saving. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney are currently involved in another journey together. They're co-owners of the Wrexham Soccer Club in Wales and have a docuseries that follows their experience. Far fewer pets were neutered during the pandemic, and experts say it's now leading to overflowing animal shelters. Researchers at the University of Florida estimate nearly 3 million dogs and cats are missing spay and neuter surgeries, in part due to a nationwide shortage of veterinarians. Study authors add that staffing shortages at clinics and shelters, along with fewer pet adoptions, are also leading to overcrowding. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, what a new report shows about the child poverty rate last year.
Plus, it looks like our temperature is going to heat up just a bit over the next few days. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, of course, it turned out to be a nice day for us today. Temperature is fantastic across the region as most of us, we warmed up into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees for afternoon highs, which is pretty good for this time of the year, a little bit above where we should be for this time of the year, but plenty of sunshine all day. Nice shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. We're going to continue to see pretty much clear skies as we go through the rest of the evening hours. So far in the month of September, it's been hot. Hasn't been extremely hot, but most of our days have been sitting at or just above our average high for this time of the year. And that's what we're going to see again over the next few days as we kind of hang out upper 80s to near 90 degrees. 85 in Carthage, 86 in Miami, 88 in Pittsburgh. You hit the lower 90s once you get out across southeastern Kansas. 7th in Rangeline, clear, sitting at 86. Southerly winds 5 to 10, humidities at 30%. Through the evening hours, slide back. 86 here by 8, 75 by 8, 86 by 6, 70 by 10. Clear skies all evening long if you want to get outside and enjoy it. And we have nothing going on here. We have clear skies across the entire Central Plains. You can see some clouds out across parts of the Central Rockies with our next little storm system, which is a very weak wave. This is going to build out across the central parts of the Rockies and kind of shoot up into the northern plains. It's going to give us some clouds, may give us a random shower late this week, but besides that, we're pretty quiet as we go through the next few days. So we'll kick off the day tomorrow at 61. Nice start, 83 by noon, high right around 90 degrees by 5, up to about 88 degrees. So let's step through time as we go through the rest of the evening hours. Mid 60s by midnight. We'll drop back by morning right around 60 or 61, which is pretty good. Plenty of sunshine during the morning hours, so we'll stop at midday. We'll be sitting into low to mid 80s. We'll get a few mid and upper level clouds in here late in the day, but again, temperatures upper 80s in Missouri. We'll go into lower 90s once you get into southeastern Kansas, about 90 in Miami. Welch also at about 90 for afternoon highs. Few clouds streaming through tomorrow night into Thursday morning. We'll stay dry. We'll have some more clouds streaming through the region on Thursday, but still upper 80s to near 90 degrees by the time we head into Thursday afternoon, and then clearing out a little bit as we go into Thursday night and Friday morning. And then our next storm system will start to affect us just a bit. By the time we head toward Friday, that weak little wave could produce a few showers, mainly in our far western counties. But besides that, there's not a whole lot going on over the next few days. 89 tomorrow, 91 on Thursday, 90 on Friday, high temp of 90 by Saturday. So it looks pretty good.
Yeah, those temps, what you would expect, I guess.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Thanks, John. Coming up, the latest federal inflation report. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Simon Essig served in the U.S. Army in 1945 and 1946. Parsons, Kansas Navy was stationed in Korea, and we salute Private Simon Essig, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, Americans are taking the good with the bad. Government data out today shows the rate of inflation eased slightly in August compared to July, but prices are still at all-time highs, especially for everyday needs like food and shelter. Reporter Elise Preston breaks it down.
The summer inflation heat is cooling off slightly. New government data shows consumer prices surged 8.3% in August over last year, but down from a 40-year high in June.
It looks like maybe inflation might have peaked in June. That makes sense because if you think about it, that's when we saw gas prices tick up over $5.
Gas prices are about 25 cents cheaper per gallon than they were a month ago. But for many households, that savings is funneled into still high food prices, up more than 11%, the highest since 1979, and shelter up 6.2% from a year ago.
The whole place is the bedroom.
The rent for Jerry Weinberger's New York City apartment is jumping from $1,833 to $2,500 a month, forcing her out.
I expected it to be raised, but not that much.
How we feel about inflation can also affect prices. A New York Fed survey from August found consumers expect inflation to fall further in the short and long term. The Federal Reserve is committed to making that happen, with another rate hike expected at next week's meeting.
If you have a strong labor market, which we still do, and we have prices on the rise, it gives the Fed the ammunition to go and attack inflation.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says it's a delicate balance to avoid a recession.
The Fed is going to need great skill and also some good luck to achieve what we sometimes call a soft landing.
Economists warn it's a marathon, not a sprint, back to prices anywhere close to pre-pandemic levels. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Now, experts say as the housing sales market cools in the form of higher mortgage rates, fewer cash offers, and tapering home prices, the rental market should follow suit. The share of children in poverty fell by nearly half last year, due mainly to the enhanced child tax credit. Census Bureau data released today shows 5.2% of children lived in poverty in 2021. That's down from 9.7% the year before. The supplemental poverty rate for kids was the lowest on record since the measure began. Automotive research company Kelley Blue Book says the average price Americans paid for a new vehicle in August hit a record high of $48,301. That's the fifth consecutive month car prices have risen to record highs. Strong demand and lower inventories are driving the rise. Kelley Blue Book says the average price of a car is nearly 11% higher than a year ago. The Biden administration says it's in touch with freight railroads and their unions, urging them to come to a deal and prevent a strike by some 115,000 workers. A deadline to resolve a contract dispute is set for Friday. The head of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce said a national rail strike would be an economic disaster. It's estimated a work stoppage could cost the U.S. economy up to $2 billion per day. Hard Rock International says it's spending more than $100 million to give raises to 10,000 workers who don't receive tips. The raises include an immediate increase to a minimum starting salary of $18 to $21 an hour. The gaming and hospitality company says the initiative is intended to help employees deal with high inflation and reduce employee turnover. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, mudslides are wreaking havoc in California. Then on KOAM News at 6, the Neosho, Missouri Police Department sees a rise in the number of calls about scams. Plus, the Oklahoma governor proposes an expansion of pregnancy and postpartum services through Sooner Care, and some tips to prevent tick bites and the diseases that come with them. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. The summer heat is going to stick with us for a while.
It is. At least we don't have the high humidity, so it doesn't feel extremely sticky or muggy out there, but it's still hot. In fact, creeping upward a little bit over the next couple days, hanging out near 90 Wednesday, Thursday. There is a slight chance for a shower late Friday, but not much rain in the forecast. And we could use a little bit more of that, so hopefully that will pick up a bit over the next few weeks.
Let's hope so. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.